In his in his early major work, Principal Berkeley embraced this position most unqualified from. There is a modest role for the scientist. He there argued in observation of description of the objects of experience in the search of true generalization about the course of our ideas, that is, of natural phenomena. But all references to items supposedly underlying, but that's Locke's position, not necessarily a scientist's position, supposedly explanatory of, according to Locke's, more real than human experience, must be dismissed as moonshine, the product of mere confusion. So here it would seem that what he is denying is, as I said earlier, is not the material object, but so-called fictitious substance which lies behind that or underneath that. So what he's denying there is Locke's conception of substance. But later, regarding perhaps as over drastic, this wholesale dismissal of not only Locke but also, for example, Gassendi, and Newton and Boyle. Gassendi was a French philosopher and a contemporary of and a critic of Descartes. Newton Boyle, he devised a strikingly ingenious variant position in which, though running hopelessly against the main tendency of his age, he foreshadowed the idea of many contemporary philosophers of science. In his pamphlet, The Motto of 1725, he still maintained that the corpuscular theories of matter, for example, or the particle theory of light could not be true, but that they may nevertheless be allowed, not indeed as truth, but useful fictions. Explanation. The theory of the corpuscular structure of matter makes possible the exact mathematical expression of formulae by which we can make very valuable calculation and operation, but there is no need to make the supposition that the corpuscles and particles of the theory actually exist. But this difference between fiction and actuality, you can't decide about it. You can't have a decisive argument for or against it. That's the thing. And how are you going to make a distinction between actuality and fiction in the first place, if you assume that everything is dependent on God? So actuality is dependent on him too, and fiction is dependent on him too. But anyway, this is more, at least halfway between the second explanation we gave, or second possibility we gave. So long as it is useful to us to speak and to calculate as if they exist, let us so speak and calculate. Such intellectual dodges serve the purpose of mathematical science and reckoning. But to be of service to reckoning and mathematical demonstration is one thing, to set forth the nature of things is another. In other words, science gives us, the purpose of science not to understand things, is to how to manipulate things. And the ultimate understanding, which is a metaphysical understanding, ultimately depends on something which is beyond science. Doesn't mean it is independent of science or has nothing to do with science, but it is beyond science. It is Locke's concession, one might say, to the physical scientists or metaphysical. It is Locke's concession, one might say, to the physical scientists or metaphysical authority that Berkeley, at every stage, implacably opposes. Yeah, so Locke is not a scientist; he is a philosopher. So that's the thing. Two of Berkeley's later works may be mentioned briefly. I think we'll stop here and probably